Communities battered by the latest gales and floods have been assessing the damage. Hundreds of homes up and down the country's west coast are flooded, miles of coastline roads and fields are underwater, and more could be on the way. Rain is expected in the south tomorrow, along with some gale-force winds. In Aberystwyth, hundreds of people had to leave their homes overnight as a sea surge threatened the town. 6-foot waves were recorded as the storm rained rocks and debris onto the seafront. Lifeboat crews pulled a man to safety this afternoon after he defied warnings and took photographs from a jetty. Villages in Gloucestershire were on high alert this morning as parts of the River Severn burst its banks. Here's the scene in Minstersworth as the Severn Bore surged inland, leaving large areas of farmland saturated. And in Devon, the search is continuing for university student Harry Martin in the town of Newton Ferrers near Plymouth. Hundreds of volunteers have joined police to try and find the 18-year-old, last seen taking photographs on a coastal path near his home on Thursday. 4 severe flood warnings have now been lifted, but hundreds of flood warnings and alerts do remain in place across England, Wales and Scotland, with coastal regions and Belfast at risk in Northern Ireland. One of the regions most threatened by further flooding is the southwest, where the storm first hit and where there are currently 43 warnings in place. Our reporter, Cordelia Lynch, has been to the village of Muchelney in Somerset, where locals are still tackling the floodwaters.
Tractors are the only way to get through Muchelney in Somerset. This is one village that didn't avoid the worst of the storm. And Richard England blames the Environment Agency.
The Environment Agency have got something to answer for.
What do you think they should have done?
25 years ago, they stopped dredging the rivers. The farmers and the drainage boards were saying, please keep draining the rivers. There's many more houses built in Yeovil, Chard, Ilminster. All this water has to come down through these valleys through here, and there's just no room for it to go.
Muchelney was an island in the Middle Ages. It's vulnerable because the land is lower than the rivers, and there are 3 of them surrounding it, all currently overflowing. Basic supplies are not. The milk run is slow work, but delivered with good humour. That could run out in the next few days, though. And it's not just food and medical supplies they're struggling to get through. They're also having to put cars on trailers because this road's going to be impassable for at least the next fortnight.
We've taken 8 cars through this morning to get them the other side of the flood so that they can go to work on Monday. But they've all got to be taken through either with the boat that we've got coming up to us here or with the tractor and trailer. It's not doing the tractors and the vehicles any good.
Sarah and her husband Nick Studley have only just returned after their home flooded a year ago. It was the first rainfall of its kind here for nearly a century. Today they've resorted to building their own bank.
They're going to have to get to grips with it because they're building more houses. We're getting much faster runoff water coming down the rivers. It either needs to be attenuated before it hits the river, and they also need to get it over the wall at the other end. I mean, it's very basic engineering.
In Gloucestershire today, where the Environment Agency issued 3 severe flood warnings, the picture looked far less bleak. Most people appeared prepared and protected. And properties at the moment largely escaping that flood water, but may we see more coming over?
Those properties that are protected with flood defences have been protected. We've done really well there. There always are and there always will be a number of properties that will be affected by flooding.
But Muchelney is already cut off, and they're expecting more bad weather tomorrow.